What's up, everybody? My name is Victor Mutua, and this is Get Check, brought to you by Cameras Africa. So in case you guys didn't know, we're actually doing an intro to filmmaking series powered by Cameras Africa right here at the Cameras Africa Westminster House branch. So let's get into this. So today, as the first episode of the intro to filmmaking series, we are actually going to be covering the 10 main things that you need to start your filmmaking career. Starting of course with number 1. It should come as an obvious guess, but a camera is an essential or must item for filmmaking, and that comes as a necessity. You cannot shoot a film without a tool for every purpose. So a camera is essential for filmmaking, and by that I mean basically a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. If you have the money for a cinema camera, then good to you, but I do not think an intro to filmmaking series video is for you. I digress. So when I say a camera, I mean a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. It doesn't matter whether it's Sony, Nikon or Canon. At the end of the day, if it is a camera, a DSLR or a smartless, that is the camera, the perfect camera to start with. I am excluding phone cameras, bridge cameras and point and shoot for a specific reason, but I will get into that later. But all you need to know is that for you to start a filmmaking career, you need a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. It doesn't matter the brand, but do your diligent research and figure out what you need in line with your preference and budget. Of course, cameras. So with the camera out of the way, the second thing you of course going to need is a tripod. By a tripod, this is exactly what I mean. And more specifically, when I say a tripod, I would much rather prefer you do get a ball head joint tripod, and that is because ball head joint tripods, in lieu of friction head tripods, tend to be a lot smoother for panning, tilting, and that just means that the mechanism it uses is much smoother, making your shots that much better. So now that you have your camera and your tripod set up, the next thing you of course gonna need is lenses. Now, when I say lenses, there are quite a few different lenses to choose from. There are telephoto zoom lenses, there are prime lenses, and there are specialty lenses. Now for filmmaking, it really does depend on what exactly you want to achieve, but I personally recommend, if you do have a higher budget, number 1, do not disregard the kit lens. You will be surprised how much and what a kit lens is capable of, so trust me, do not doubt the kit lens. The second lens that I would highly recommend you getting for filmmaking purposes is the Nifty 50. It just genuinely does work really well. For filmmaking purposes, it has a very nice, simple cinematic look, and it is one of the cheapest lenses you can buy that has a higher aperture, and that means more light into your camera, launching onto your sensor, and that means much more cinematic, beautiful, crisp, accurate shots for your filmmaking. That is a Nifty 50. Now, the second lens we're going to talk about is this. This is a telephoto or a zoom lens. It depends on what you get, but even the kit lens that you do get when you buy entry level DSLRs, most of the time is maybe an 18-55 or an 18-135, or in the case of the cameras like the EOS RP, it is the 24-105. And what this lens is in the name. It is a zoom lens, meaning that it has a variable focal length from 24mm wide all the way to 105mm close up. Now the final lens I want to talk about is this guy right here. This is an 8-15mm fisheye lens, and what that does is it really does create a fisheye effect in your videos. It has a really wide, let me say, warped effect on the subject, but it is a specialty lens, not to be used for every shoot, because yeah, you're gonna see why. But all in all, these lenses are usually really cool to be used for like special effects, or if you just want to add something, something different to the videos that you're shooting. So yeah, those are specialty lenses. That covered, let's move on to number 4. So the next thing you're going to need, number 4, is microphones. And when I say microphones, I don't mean buy a camera that costs, so for example, 80,000 and then choose to buy a microphone that costs 1,500. It's nothing against cheaper microphones, but you need to remember that in filmmaking, the end product, your film, 50% in the video, 50% is audio. So invest in as good sound as you do in your camera and lenses. And by that I mean invest in a high and condenser microphone, because unlike cameras and lenses, investing in good sound at the beginning means that you have good sound all the way until the end. You could literally buy, say for example, a Rode mic, which I kid you not, on the box has a 10-year warranty, because quality does come at a price. But when you do buy a good quality microphone, then you're sorted for years on end. Now, something to note is that when you're getting into filmmaking, there's a whole lot of microphones to choose from, but I usually prefer, if you're going to be using DSLRs, to go with something that can be mounted on your microphone, and more specifically a super cardioid condenser microphone that can either be mounted on top of your camera or can be mounted onto a boom cable that can then be connected to your camera. But essentially, that's what you need to look out for: a super cardioid on-camera condenser microphone. Trust me, it's a long name, but it just means that you have quite really good quality sound. So remember, good sound, good video. Now, the next thing you're gonna need in conjunction with your microphone is either an audio mixer or an audio recorder, depending on your budget. But I usually prefer to go with an audio mixer because audio recorders tend to be a bit more higher budgets. Now, when I say a mixer, I'm talking about this guy right here, more specifically this guy right here. Now, what this does is that it has various inputs. It has 2 XLR inputs and 2 3.5mm jack inputs, as well as a separate stereo input. And this basically allows you to mix or provide even plus 48 volt phantom power that can then go into your camera, because as you know, if you have a DSLR, you only have the 3.5 jack input. And if you're going to be buying a higher end microphone, say for example like this Boya, as you can see, it comes out as XLR, and your camera doesn't have the ability to bring in XLR, but this does. So what this does is it creates an interface to allow your camera to pick up better sound through this mic into its 3.5 jack input, and it also allows you to mix multiple sound sources so that all of them can become one and come into your camera, merge with the video. Now, that is the whole point of an audio mixer. Okay, so the 6th thing you're going to need is a monitor. This is what I mean. A monitor is basically an external monitor separate from the monitor on your camera itself. Now, when you talk about the monitor on your camera, I mean this guy right here. And when you're making films, this is not ideal for filmmaking. The reason being, granted, yes, it's most times maybe like a 3-inch touchscreen monitor, but that isn't really the best monitor for filmmaking, because things like color representation and all of that are not really accurate. So what you might see here, even when it comes to things like focus, might not be as sharp as you think. So that's where this guy comes in. A monitor, an external monitor, especially like for example the one I have here, which is a Filmmaking F6, basically allows you to output what's coming out of the camera onto a larger monitor that can then be remotely viewed by your director, DOP, cinematographer. But another bright, huge advantage of this guy is that you can actually externally record on this monitor as well. So that means that you can actually have a backup number 1 in the camera and backup number 2 on the SD card that this guy has inbuilt. And besides that, you can also have this as a HDMI out to jump it on to another monitor. Now, the benefit of this is that, especially with these higher end monitors, is the ability for your director, DOP, cinematographer to be able to see what's going on the screen. Means that you don't have a million people breathing down your neck trying to stare at the same monitor to see what's going on. And it also really helps with the thing called focus. You do not want to just guess that hopefully the focus looks sharp on this one. That's where these guys come in. They have things like focus peaking, they have 3D LUTs, touchscreen capabilities, and 4K in and out. And again, having the ability to externally record on another SD card is a huge plus in my book. So yeah, monitors, definitely essential. Number 7, you are going to need batteries. And when I say batteries, I mean a lot of batteries. Have the first main battery that comes with the camera, the charger, and a whole nother battery. And I'm not kidding when I say this. You'll be surprised how much you'll need a backup battery for your main battery, a backup battery for your backup battery, a dual slot charge. I highly recommend the Nightcore chargers by this, because these guys are dual slot. They tell you how much a battery has charged, and they actually save quite a bit of your battery's battery health. And I'm not kidding, guys. have another backup battery and another backup charger for your backup battery and your backup charger, because you'll be surprised. These guys, when you're shooting on a film set, especially if it's like during a hot day, something, batteries drain quick, and especially in DSLRs when you're shooting film or video, they drain quick, and I'm not joking about that. So guys, batteries, a lot of them, and not just the ones for your cameras. Like, invest in these guys, these big block NP F970 batteries. These are the ones that are used actually in the monitors and can actually be used in, for example, camcorders. But besides this, there's so many batteries that are used for filmmaking, but these are the main ones I can think of. These are the ones that usually come for your DSLR cameras. This is the charger for them, and these are the NP F970 batteries that usually go into your monitors or into other accessories that do require batteries. But guys, you know, a battery, trust, and always very good higher end rechargeable batteries. Buying generic is cheaper, but it becomes quite expensive in the long run. And coming in at number 8 is one of the most key things of all, your storage, starting of course with SD cards. Now here I have with me SanDisk Extreme Pro SD cards. I have 64 GB, I have 128 GB, and I have all the up to 256 GB. Now, the reason why I recommend SanDisk Extreme Pro SD cards is because they do have a higher read-write speed rate for cameras. Most of them start at 170 MBs per second, and the Extreme Pro cards actually, they're class 3 cards, meaning that they can shoot up to 4K video. 4K might not be an essential part of your regiment when you're starting off filmmaking, but it's good to know that when you decide to start shooting 4K, you have an SD card that is capable of shooting 4K. But besides SD card, there's also another important piece of storage you're going to need. This guy. This is an external hard drive, and I cannot stress this enough. Guys, get an external hard drive the minute you buy your SD card, because your laptop can fail or your camera can fail, but actually even external SD cards can fail, but it is always good to have a failsafe, especially when it comes to the question of dumping footage. If you're at a film or you're in a set and you've shot whatever it is you've shot, and the SD cards might not be used, then they're going to need to come back with the owner, and that really brings up a whole lot of issues. But all in all, having an external SD card, especially if you're an editor, cinematographer, a DOP, saves you a whole lot of stress. Either number 1, looking for footage, number 2, storing footage, number 3, dumping footage, and number 4, just knowing that you have your storage somewhere safe and backed up in case your laptop, your hard drive, whatever it is, your server goes down. And it's always good to know that you know, or you have your storage with you. If, say for example, you don't have access to the internet and you don't have access to your Google Drive. So guys, an external hard drive, an absolute essential. I cannot stress this enough. This would literally save your life in the long run. So the 9th and 10th things that you are going to need as the essentials of your filmmaking kit is finally lights and a light stand. Now in most cases you would buy these separately, but the lights I'm actually going to be mentioning for us today come as a package deal. I'm talking about these guys right here. This is the GVM 800D RGB, and these lights come as a set of 2 lights with the 2 softboxes that can be mounted here, and 2 light stands and 2 power cables. And if you ask me, that's why they have the name GVM, which stands for Great Video Maker. That's what these lights are literally called, and I think they're a perfect pair of lights to match up a great filmmaker, because for what it's worth, having a light set that comes with 2 lights that have the capability to output RGB, that both come with their own higher quality light stands compared to the light stands you can get, and for what it's worth, having a light that you can control with your phone is definitely a time saver when you're on the set. And plus, this thing came with a softbox. I mean, I don't know about you, but I haven't seen any other LED video light that comes with a softbox that you can mount on the front. With that being said, this light is of course on offer here at Cameras Africa. That is for stock light, and I really get that for another day. However, coming back down to it, light and light stands are absolutely essential. Do not cheap out on light. Don't get on camera lighting that will not suffice for filmmaking. Go for higher quality lights that come as a package deal. Most of the time, get the ones that come with the whole light stand, the carrying case, and go for the quality. Okay, so let's run up the list of the 10 things you will need to get your career in filmmaking off the ground, starting of course with your camera, your lens, tripod, microphone, monitor, audio mixer, your light stand, batteries, and your storage being your SD cards and your hard drives. Now with these 10 things in your bag, carrying case, in your arsenal, you are ready to start your career in filmmaking, and we will take the time to elaborate on all of the items we talked about today. Why this camera, why this lens, what's mirrorless, what's DSLR. We will expound on all of that as we progress, but for now, this has been Getcheck, the intro to filmmaking series. I will see you soon. Powered by Cameras Africa.